In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of selecting a journal because I want you to publish, not perish. An estimated 64 million academic papers have been published in the last 3 decades. This includes academic books, journal articles, conference papers, etc. But this is still a truly staggering number. In fact, more than 30,000 journals are currently being published, with new ones going online every day. The United Kingdom and the United States lead the world with a combined 10,000 academic journals published annually, accounting for over 20% of the global scholarly journal publishing. So, who is reading all of these papers? Is this information overload? At the same time, this deluge of papers has also enabled the rise of predatory journals that publish anything for a fee, undermining quality control in academic publishing. While rejection may be an inevitable part of the journal writing process, the odds of acceptance are higher than ever. But picking the right journal really should be your top priority. If you pick the right journal, you improve your odds of publication greatly. Once you've developed your core argument, organized your structure, and drafted the introduction, it's a good time to select a journal or create a short list of journals. Every journal has different requirements, so these can be used to guide you as you work through finishing your manuscript. Some of the main reasons for rejection are that a paper is too long or too short, it's too qualitative, too quantitative, too narrow, too broad, too theoretical, too concrete. Your goal is not to submit to the best journal, but to the best journal for your paper. You will only waste time submitting to the wrong journal. Let's talk about publishing outlets. Here I've made a list of preferred, it depends, and not recommended. First, under the preferred list are, of course, disciplinary journals. These are the most impressive to hiring and promotion committees. That being said, the limited number of disciplinary journals in your discipline means high competition against high quality, broad context manuscripts. It's not impossible to get accepted, but certainly difficult. Next would be interdisciplinary journals, followed by field journals. Field journals are a subset of an area within a discipline and might be easier to publish in than a disciplinary journal. Then there are regional journals and then themed or special issue journals. This category can be much less competitive because of the narrow scope and timing as well, which includes deadlines. So not everybody might be ready to submit. So you're in a good position to, if you have something ready to go. Search for, use a search term of call for papers and then the keywords that are relevant to your paper, um, making sure that they have a current or future deadline. Next would be, and then finally in this category would be newer journals. Okay, in the middle column, I titled it Depends because this is a list of outlets that are legitimate, but you should only consider journals or publications from this list if you are less concerned or not concerned at all about promotion, grants, applications, or graduate applications. So in this list includes working paper series, e-print repositories, which are listed here because you might not be able to publish in a journal later. So just make sure that you check whether that's the case. Here's a link to do so. Then there are society and conference proceedings, chapters in edited volumes, graduate student journals, note journals, review journals, local journals, and non-US journals. While all, as I said, all of these are legitimate and potentially peer review outlets, they may not be a great addition to your CV if that really matters. Then finally, the third column are the not recommended lists. These include newspapers and magazines, news and information journals, trade and professional journals, predatory journals, which I'll talk to you about a little bit more in a few minutes, print-only journals, and non-peer review academic journals. Let's talk about prioritizing potential journals for submitting your manuscript to. First of all, of course, high impact and top journals are always the preference. They are designated by strong journal metrics, including a high impact factor, a high site score, and are typically indexed in the top quartiles of major databases. But there are lots of journals to choose from, and what you'll want to do is really to consider the citation rate, the impact factor, and various other measures of status of any journal that you're considering. And if you aren't sure, I recommend that you ask your chair or colleagues what would be the preference in your discipline. Um, while high ranking or high impact journals are going to be more difficult to get published in, remember, it really is about fit. So don't assume that you have a better chance with a lower impact journal. Your particular topic, method, or findings might be a strong contender for a top journal. Besides journal ranking, what else should you prioritize? Well, some of you might prefer a fast review and publication. Another thing to consider is um, the experience of being published in a paper. So you might want to ask around colleagues if there's a particular journal that you're interested in, or if they would recommend a journal based on their own experience. Not all experiences are positive, and you should avoid a journal with a bad track record. And I say that from experience. Another thing that you might want to consider is the type of peer review, if that matters to you. Some other things to think about as you're prioritizing potential journals is whether the journal has a print and an electronic version, or if it's just electronic without print. You I would discourage you from picking a journal that is in print only because it will have a very, very small readership, because very few people actually go to libraries to read physical journals, and even fewer actually subscribe to these to receive them in the mail. So your best bet is probably is some version of an electronic printing. Another thing to think about is please do not consider any predatory journals. I'll talk a little bit more about this in just a minute. Um, and then the third thing that I have listed here is thinking about whether you want to select a journal that is subscription based or open access. And this has to do with who pays the journal to print your paper. The advantage of the subscription model is that it provides a steady stream of revenue for the publisher. They offer the journal on a subscription basis, and you print basically for free. However, the downside is that it restricts access to those who cannot afford the subscription, which can be quite high, and also those that are not affiliated with an institution, as institutions often pay these high subscription fees and give access to their um, staff free of charge. In contrast to the subscription model, open access journals allow anyone with internet access to read the articles for free. This is becoming more popular, and authors or their institution or funders would cover the printing costs in this case and pay an article processing charge once their paper is accepted for publication. So the benefit of the open access model is that it promotes a wider dissemination and accessibility of research findings, basically to anyone who is interested to download and read it. However, it can place a financial burden on the researchers themselves, particularly those from low-income countries or less funded research areas, as the open access processing fees can be quite high, and are typically in the thousands of US dollars. There are also hybrid models where a journal operates mainly under the subscription model, but offers authors the option to make their articles open access for a fee. This model combines elements of both the subscription and open access models. And you'll find that when you look up journals to look at um, their article listings, you might see that some are behind a paywall, whereas some are open access and free to download. There's also a growing movement towards diamond or platinum open access, where neither the reader nor the author pays. These journals are usually funded by an organization, an institution, or a consortium that values the free dissemination of research. It's important to note that regardless of the publishing model, all journals strive to ensure a rigorous peer review process to maintain the quality and integrity of the academic literature they publish. So whether you choose the subscription or open access approach will not deter the reputation or rigor of the journal, given that you've looked at their other metrics. Okay, predatory journals. These are journals that claim legitimacy but use deceptive practices to make money. Here are 10 indicators of a predatory journal. First, they don't offer a peer review. Second, they don't have quality checks. They make false claims about being indexed. They fake impact factors. They promise rapid publication. They have no physical address. They have poor grammar and spelling throughout their publication. There's no way to contact the journal. They publish non-academic papers, and they might not even have published articles or have missing issues. Um, Please avoid predatory journals. How do you do that? You can check the list here. There is a website where you can see which journals are predatory, or if there's a journal you're interested in, you're not sure, you can type it in and see if it's on the list. Now it's time to start making your list. I want to highlight, and I can't stress this enough, that you are allowed one submission at a time. There is no duplicate submission. It's unethical. You can actually be banned from publishing if you try to submit to more than one journal at a time. So choose carefully. Okay, so how do you go about making a list? Well, here are some suggestions. First, consider journals that you read regularly. Then check professional societies' websites. You can ask advisors, colleagues, peers, mentors. A good place to search is Ulrich's Global Series Directory. However, it is subscription based. You might have access to it through your institution, but if you're not affiliated with an institution, you won't have access to this. You can do a Wikipedia search of list of X journals and inserting your discipline for the X. So list of, for example, architecture journals. Check citations in your paper. That's actually a really great way to figure out journals that publish on your topic. And then my last suggestion is to search publisher journal finders. So this is really cool. Something that has only recently been offered by the various journal publishers. These are journal finders to help you find good fit journals. Um, I've listed websites for each of the main publishers, beginning with Elsevier. So if you click on the journal finder, elsevier.com, it will bring you to a web page where it will ask you to copy and paste your abstract, and it will suggest journals that are a good fit for you. However, keep in mind that each publisher suggests their own journals, so you want to check several for ideas. Do note that Research Life at the bottom claims to access a global journal database, so that might be the most comprehensive one. Anyway, play around. This is a really fun and quick way to start to generate a list of potential journals. I hope this video has been useful in helping you to select a journal. Here are references and resources.